So we're talking to Steve Kaitz, owner or co-CEO of National Lumber. Let's get into the business. Tell us, I think everyone in the Boston area knows about National Lumber. Tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, we have done a lot of advertising over the last 10 years or so people do know the name a little bit more. I think that radio does work. And so we continue on with our radio advertising. We do some television advertising, a little bit of digital we're thinking about now. But we've built up a business really through our connection with builders and new construction. That's been the basis of our business. We do have several yards. We have 13 lumber yards now and 4 paint stores, which under the name Babels. But our main business is dealing with the contractors. Again, people can come into our stores, and they do, but we have the stores mainly for convenience for our contractors and builders. And what we do is we really are a middle person. We buy materials from lumber mills in Canada and the northeast part of the United States and the western United States, out in Oregon and Washington, and we bring materials into our yard and inventory those materials and have those materials where we put together what we call a lumber load. So a builder would need to have a large order, generally large order when they start out building a house, and we put that order together in the order that they need it, and we put it on a truck, and we have a forklift on the back of the truck, and we go out to the sites and we deliver this material. So that part is fairly simple, and almost anybody could do that if they had enough money for inventory and enough money for trucks. And it's an expensive business. It's a high capital business. But what we do is better than anyone else, I think, is the expertise that we bring to the builders. Builders today are not exactly what I think of when I think of builders when I first started. I started in 1975 full-time, and previous to that, throughout my whole childhood, working summers. But back then, most of the builders were people that were out on the sites, a lot of people had come over from Europe, and were carpenters and bricklayers or masons. But today the builders are more entrepreneurial, and they deal with banks and they deal with the financing and finding land, and that really is where a lot of the money is made in purchasing land and being able to get land approved so you can build. But because their background is not exactly in the building business necessarily, we bring that expertise to the builders. We're very, very knowledgeable when it comes to engineering. It's a lot more difficult to build with the regulations that are required these days, and we bring that knowledge to the builders, and they appreciate that, and they need that today, and that's a big part of our business.
So they're more like developers.
A lot of the builders are, yes, I would say that.
And less like traditional construction companies.
Exactly, Mark.
Interesting.
Now, I know you mentioned the overemphasis on doing B2B work, but it's hard to talk about your business and not mention the big box stores. Do they affect you? Do you affect them, do you think?
Well, when Home Depot and Lowe's, Home Depot first and then Lowe's came in, at the time there were other yards like Somerville Lumber was here, and Grossman Lumber were here. They were local yards that did a lot with the homeowners and smaller contractors as well as larger builders. And they went out of business when they sold off to bigger conglomerates that didn't understand the New England market. And you really have to understand the New England market, especially if you're going to deal with builders. But big part of dealing with builders is giving them credit. Builders generally don't build with their own money. They get financing, and they rely on banks and other ways of getting finance, including suppliers. And we do a big job in financing, not directly, but we might give them maybe a little additional terms. We are very flexible when it comes to financing or giving credit, with an understanding that builders don't build with their own money.
So you are
generally.
sort of like their community partner, unlike the big box stores.
Sure, that is correct. And the big box stores don't want to deal with that. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it. They want their cash, and they want it right away. And a big part of our business is understanding what builders' needs are.
Well, I went into my father's business in 1973. You said you went in 1975. I'm sure training was similar. Can you talk to us a little bit about the training you got back then, or how you might have done it? You might be doing it today if
Sure.
you do have family in the business.
Sure. Well, I was lucky. My father was in the business. He was a salesman. We didn't interact at all during the day. So as I say, that was lucky. I mean, we got along, but in business it was a little trying sometimes with my father and I. And I had two uncles that were in the business and gave me as much time as I could possibly ever ask for in training me and sitting with me and talking to me and nurturing me through the business. It was great. And they had to be patient. They had to be patient with me. And after a few years, I think that it proved worthy of the time that they spent. And I've been running the business now probably since full time, without any other supervision, since the early 90s, so in excess of about 30 years.
Steve, how do you, Stephen, I'm sorry, how do
No
you
problem.
deal with, we were 10 years into economic expansion, we went through a challenging time, the '08 recession, but how do you protect your company against a downturn in the economy?
Well, you're right. It is about the longest expansion in our history, and we are in a cyclical business to begin with. And we usually feel it first when a market's going to turn down. And we haven't felt that at all. That being said, we know that this is not going to last forever. What we do is we try to protect ourselves as much as we can in understanding our builders, staying on top of their situations, understanding their sales, understanding their profit situations. We really understand our builders and know our builders. That's the best we can do, and that's what we do well. As I say, the big part of our business is the new construction, and they're using other people's monies. And if they don't make money, or if they have to sit on property for a long time, they're going to get hurt quickly. And we have to know when it's happening and how it's happening and what their whole situation, their financial situation is. And I think we do a good job. I would say that I spend the majority of my time understanding builders and understanding their credit situation and their financial situation. That's how we do. That's how we protect our situation in regard to downturns as best as we can. But we won't be immune in the future, and we haven't been immune in the past to difficult times in the cyclical business of real estate and in turn the lumber business.
And you explained earlier that the contractors have changed, and I understand that. But New England, probably as much as anywhere, is a knowledge-based economy. And I would assume that's also affecting your clientele. How do you adapt to technology in a knowledge-based economy?
Well, when you talk about a knowledge-based economy, one of the challenges we have both as an employer and also in our industry is not that many people are going to school for lumber and to learn the lumber business. In fact, very, very few. And very few, frankly, are going in to school and learning the construction business. So that is that's a big challenge for all of us. And I know that everybody says people are the big challenge today, and they are. It is. It really is. But in our industry especially, you can't really go to school for being in the lumber business. But that being said, technologically, we try to stay up with the latest in equipment. We have a manufacturing plant in New Bedford where we manufacture components, roof trusses, wall panels, floor trusses. We will build components for pergolas and different very technical items. And we have the state-of-the-art machines. We go across the country. We learn from other people who have perhaps bought these machines and utilized them, and we really understand what's out there in the marketplace for technological innovations in equipment and as well as our IT, internal IT.
Great.
Is there a typical size builder that you work with?
Not you.
That's a,
I would say not. I would say New England doesn't have a lot of huge builders. There's not a lot of land where you can buy tracts of land and get build 400 or 500 homes like you can in Texas or Nevada or different places around the country. So we are limited to a little bit smaller builder, a little bit more entrepreneurial type builder, and but makes it a little bit more difficult. There are pluses and minuses. If you were dealing a lot with these large builders and there was a downturn, perhaps could get hit by one or two customers going bad. In our situation, it would take a lot of customers to go bad, but that can happen, and it has happened in the past.
Everybody, just in case you just tuned in, we've been speaking with Stephen Kaitz, owner and co-CEO of National Lumber. Stephen, time runs out. We'd love to ask you more questions, but we don't have that option. If somebody wants to find you or National Lumber, even better than you, if you can find the stores, how would they do that?
Well, I'm not sure where you broadcast to, but if you're in the Boston area, we have 13 locations, one in Rhode Island, 3 in Connecticut, and the rest in Massachusetts. As I say, we currently own the Babel stores in Massachusetts, and our website is national-lumber.com. And we also have a website for our Connecticut stores because there are, both Connecticut and Rhode Island, there are already National Lumbers in both those states. So we named our company National Building Products in Rhode Island and in Connecticut. And that's national-bp.com.
Great. Thanks for being on the show
Okay,
today.
thank
we
you.
really appreciate
you,
it. Great
Stephen.
story, great business. Thanks to Mark Furman, our host for Tarlow, Breed, Hart, and Rogers. Thank you, Mark, for tuning in, being here. Thank you to Mark Z for introducing us to Stephen Kaitz. Sorry, I made the same mistake. And thank you to Rich Herson for showing up from Gray, Gray, and Gray. And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these
Thank you.
messages.